This is a message. Nuclear waste disposal? No joke. Hello to everyone in the end of the internet. And welcome to Thursday, maggots, January 31st. I am Nathan of Washington. You are watching Young Globalist, and this is the news of 2019. Nuclear waste shipped from South Carolina to Nevada in secret. Yeah, how basically, this seems like a sort of a states' right versus federal government issue. It's the federal government that was doing this. Apparently it's a Trump policy, which is pretty much the opposite of Obama policy. I'm not going to say that Trump is a perfect president. He's made mistakes. This is one of them. But the federal government has been secretly shipping a large amount of weapons-grade plutonium from South Carolina to Nevada. And they did so months ago, despite the state's vehement opposition to the action. Excuse me. The U.S. Department of Energy revealed on Wednesday that 1,100 pounds of plutonium was shipped from the K reactor at the Savannah River site in South Carolina, which had previously produced the radioactive metal for nuclear bombs during the Cold War. The Energy Department did not reveal when the shipment was made, other than it occurred before November 2018, before Nevada had sued to stop the proposed shipments. It said due to security reasons, no public notice was given ahead of the shipment, and the highway route was not revealed. Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak said he's beyond outraged by this completely unacceptable deception. Security reasons is sort of like saying I don't remember in a trial. You know, it sort of gives you like a free pass. But the federal government can, in fact, be sued for such violations. So it's not like they'll go unpunished for this or without a fair trial, should the state of Nevada choose to sue, which I think they should. They should sue fast and hard. Dina Titus, another Nevada Democrat and a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, said the administration of President Donald Trump has repeatedly tried to use Nevada as a dumping ground for nuclear waste. Trump revived a decades-old proposal to store the nation's nuclear waste at Nevada's Yucca Mountain after the project was essentially halted by former President Barack Obama. Well, it could be very dangerous to do this. I mean, it's a state rights issue, but at the same time, you got to put it somewhere. And since Nevada won't accept it, Trump should just put it someplace else. Find some other facility where they don't, hate the idea. That's what you're just going to have to do. This could be a very dangerous operation if he lets it continue. And naturally, you got to put the nuclear waste somewhere. You just can't safely destroy it. Turn it into something else. Once it's made, it exists forever, basically. It's a sad fact of life in nuclear production. That's why it got to make you reconsider making nukes at all. But nonetheless, I mean, if Nevada won't take it, then you need to find some other place to put it. That's all there is to it. They have the right to reject the idea. States' rights versus federal government, classic. The state wins. Anyway, Maduro was worried about the U.S. starting a false flag war with Venezuela for oil. For their oil and all that. Maduro basically made this video on his Facebook page warning American citizens about the possibility, comparing it to Vietnam or Iraq. More like Iraq, really. Venezuela is indeed resource-rich, and they have the right to patriotize said resources as they are on their land. Of course, the U.S. government chose to no longer recognize Maduro as legitimate because of how he's handled the country. He was just a city bus driver. Of course, Maduro accused the U.S. media of waging a brutal campaign of false images to support the Trump administration's interference in Venezuela. Well, yeah, the U.S. media and Donald Trump are not the same thing. Some of Maduro's statements show an error in ignorance of how the U.S. culture and U.S. Politics work. Trump is not a friend of the media, not in the slightest. But this campaign has been prepared to justify a coup d'etat in Venezuela that has been set, financed, and actively supported by Donald Trump administration, according to Maduro. That's him continuing. Trump, however, may not actually be as complicit as Maduro implies. I haven't seen much of Trump himself actually talking about it. He just said his classic thing that a military option is on the table. You know, the option is on the table. He keeps saying that shit. That's it. That's his line. And what that usually means is that he's considered it, but isn't necessarily going to do it. Sometimes he doesn't even do it at all. Remember, he's been against warmongering for the most part this time. Hence his policy in the Middle East. He's less willing to back out of anything concerning Venezuela because they're a little closer to home. You know, it's not as far away as the Middle East. He's not much of like a world cop, but he is sort of like, I don't know, maybe a local America's cop. If he does try anything, Maduro is right in asking U.S. citizens to stand against it. He is right in doing so. And you can't imagine that Juan Guaido, the one that America does recognize, won't have a similar attitude to Maduro on this issue. Moving on. Russia worried about a new U.S. nuke production after the end of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which prevented ground-based nuke launches. Although oddly, not from ships on the ocean. That was a Reagan-era act that tried to help cool things down with nuclear production and arms races and all that. But you know, Russia was worried about them rejecting that, and then now they're building new nukes and shit. Trump is being very provocative towards Russia lately. Kind of got everybody a little worried, and with good reason. Of course, it could be that he just plans on making a new arms deal, but we haven't really heard about that. I'm hoping that it really is going to be his plan, because otherwise, this could end up being pretty bad. This could be pretty damn awful. I'm certainly hoping that, you know, Trump doesn't cause us to enter another Cold War or even World War III. It's like, I voted for him hoping that that wouldn't be the case, but now it seems like I was wrong. I can only hope that he has the brains to not, you know, press Russia any harder than he already has. I'm now going to read you a letter from, hold on. Hold on here. Alright, from Chuck Schumer. I couldn't remember his name for a second. From Chuck Schumer, this letter reads, Dear Director Coates, President Trump's criticism of the testimony you and other intelligence leaders provided to Congress yesterday was extraordinarily inappropriate and undermined public confidence in the United States government's efforts to protect our national security and preserve United States power and influence abroad. I applaud you and your colleagues in the intelligence community for being clear-eyed about the threats we face, but you cannot allow the President's ill-advised and unwarranted comments today to stand. I believe it is incumbent on you, Director Ray and Director Hospital, to insist on an immediate meeting with President to educate him about the facts and raw intelligence underlying the intelligence community's assessments, and to press upon him how critically important it is for him to join and the leadership of our intelligence community in speaking with a unified and accurate voice about national security threats. He is putting you and your colleagues in an untenable position and hurting the national interest in the process. You must find a way to make that clear to him. I'm sorry, we don't need to protect our power and influence abroad. We need to protect our power and influence here. We are not the world's mom. We are not the world police. We need to stop with that bullshit. Plus, you know, the intelligence community, part of their job is to misdirect or deceive. And they could be misdirecting or deceiving Donald Trump in those meetings he proposes. Bottom line is, Trump is right not to trust them. It's the intelligence community's job to lie. It's what they do. Bottom line is, this could be another a veiled attempt at, you know, undermining Trump's authority as president. Or it couldn't be. Either way, it could just be them complaining. Either way, it's unhelpful, and it's a pain in the butt, and it's going to make Trump's job just that much harder. So make of it what you will, but I think it's probably something along the lines of just a thinly veiled attempt or a thickly veiled attempt to undermine his authority, which is what many of these Democrat types really like to do, because he's not one of their guys, so they'll contradict him and undermine him and do whatever they think they need to get their authority back. So there you go. Make of it what you will. Moving on. 11,198 confirmed non-citizens registered to vote in Pennsylvania. Yeah, just like the 95,000 in Texas. Well, that was 11,000 in Pennsylvania registered to vote. And remember, they always vote left. This is why the Democrats support illegal immigration, because they come over the border and then they vote Democrat. They always do. That's how they keep their power, since no one else in the country will vote for them. And every time an illegal alien votes, it holds back the ability of the government to hear the voice of the true people, the true citizens. It disrupts and creates problems within democracy if you don't bar illegal aliens from voting. And really, that's all there is to it. It's a problem, and no one's doing anything about it, except Trump, who wants to build that damn wall and then deport anyone who's illegal. Which is precisely what should happen. Anyway, moving on to our final story of the day. Trump does not need Congress to build the wall. John Rood reveals that he can in fact use bill, or I think not a bill, but it's a law. It's called 10 U.S.C. 284, which allows him to direct the military as commander-in-chief to perform whatever function he sees fit if it's in the name of national defense or in the state of national security. In other words, to build the wall. If he can clearly identify the wall and illegal immigration as a national threat, then he will have that authority. And it's definitely a national threat. Building the wall is a fine solution. Israel built a wall. France built a wall to keep illegal immigrants from going through France to get into Britain. That sets a precedent, so why can't we do it? Hell, our wall is going to be taller. You know, if you want immigrants to come in, you can put like a little door in there or something. Bottom line is, we need to make this public, so hopefully the word reaches Donald Trump that he can just use 10 U.S.C. 284. And I'll put a link in the description of this particular video to that law so you can review it yourself. See for yourself, folks. He doesn't need Congress. And quite frankly, neither do we. Anyway, that's it for the Unglobalist today, folks. I'm out.